Welcome to a celebration of faith and leadership. Today, we honor Bishop Munyiri's remarkable journey that embodied dedication, love, and service. Join us as we reflect on the path that led him to become the Deputy Presiding Bishop, Pera, Kenya. It all began in the year 1983 in Malindi High School, where he gave his life to Christ. And that is where his journey to the ministry commenced.
It was in the year 1983, while I was a student in Form 5 at Malindi High School, when I gave my life to Jesus Christ. And after I finished Form 6, I joined what is now Dedan Kimathi University, and there I joined the Christian Union. And in the Christian Union at Kimathi University, I became very active, and then I was also elected to be the chairman of the Christian Union for 1 year, and I was able to serve God very, very effectively. After my studies at Kimathi as an accountant, I came to Nairobi to continue with my studies, and I joined the Full Gospel Churches of Kenya, Buruburu branch, and Reverend Stephen Kiguru. Again, almost immediately, I was elected to become the chairman of the youth in the church, and we had a powerful youth ministry in Buruburu Full Gospel Church. In 1993, while I was working as an accountant at CMC Motors Group, that was the time that I felt a very strong urge for me to join full-time ministry. It was in that year that I resigned as an accountant, and I joined East Africa School of Theology to do a Bible and Theology course at a bachelor's degree. Immediately I joined the Bible school. I was appointed to become the pastor of Pera Full Gospel Church. In Pera, life and ministry was very, very different from what I had done at Buruburu. There was a lot of poverty, but all the same, we were able to do great things for God. During that time, I was staying at Waithaka, and an idea came that I should begin another church at Waithaka while still pastoring at Pera. By the grace of God, we were able to plant a church at Waithaka, and within 2 years, we were able to buy a piece of land. We were able to build a temporary structure, and during that time, I heard that the Full Gospel Church wanted to begin another branch at Westlands. When I heard about the Westlands, having worked at Buruburu, I felt that was a good opportunity for me to go and exercise what I had learned doing ministry in a more urban area in Westlands, the same way I did at Buruburu. And in 1996, I went and began the church in Westlands. And it was during that time that somehow there was a misunderstanding between me and my boss, my district overseer, and I decided to leave Full Gospel Church and go and begin my own personal ministry. I left the church in Westlands and I went to begin another church in Kayole, my own personal ministry that we are calling Eastlands Gospel Center. I stayed in Kayole for 5 years, and it was during that time when really I discovered that ministry sometimes can be difficult, especially when one is doing personal ministry. I saw there was a big difference between the work I had done under the Full Gospel Church. The churches under the Full Gospel Church would take off very easily and grow, but in Kayole, doing a personal ministry, it took a lot of time, and there were a lot of challenges. Even I had to get money, get a loan through my wife so that we could be able to purchase a plot. Unfortunately, even after taking a loan of 250,000, which was a lot of time for us because we are living very humble lives then, we were conned, and that money, we lost it. But later, by the grace of God, we were able still to get another plot, and the church was not strong enough. By then, I had acquired some 3 plots at what we call Comrock Estate, and I had to sell those 3 plots to build a church with my family, even without having to ask the members. of any money. And in ministry, one thing I have discovered is that one has to be willing to sacrifice. I remember it was there before, slightly earlier. In fact, just before I joined the ministry again, I had gone to Tanzania for mission work with the Full Gospel Church at Arusha. And there I saw how there was a lot of hardship doing the mission work. The pastors in Tanzania, their lives were so low, they needed a lot of help. And when I came back to Nairobi, I requested my wife that the small salary that I began getting when I joined the full-time ministry in the Full Gospel Church, that she allow me so that we could give that money, the whole salary, to the mission work in Tanzania. It was not easy, but it needed sacrifice. And for the next 36 months, we gave all my salary to the mission work in Tanzania. And so what I'm saying is that for you to do the work of God, you must be willing to sacrifice. In Kayole, ministry was not easy, but by the grace of God, we were able to raise a good church. And it was in the year 2003 that I felt that I was not doing ministry as I really desired to do. And I saw that doing a personal ministry was not as fulfilling as when I was in a big organization, when I was in the Full Gospel Church. And it was at that time when I decided, I requested my wife, I shared with the leadership of the church, and we found it necessary to look for a big church organization that we could join together with the church that we had in Kayole. And that was the time that we looked around and we identified PEFA. And we approached the leadership of PEFA, and we requested them to allow us to come to join the church and become ministers and members of PEFA. And in 2003, November, we were received by PEFA. The church that we had in Kayole was received to become a PEFA church, and I became one of the ministers within PEFA. And it was almost immediately when I found that the PEFA had bought a building in the city center, and they needed somebody that would go and pioneer a church in that building. And in April 2004, by the grace of God, I was sent by the PEFA organization to go to the city center to begin what we call PEFA City Center Church. After serving in PEFA City Center Church for about 9 years, the Lord began to place a burden in my heart to go to Sukuma and pioneer yet another church. In 2012, when me and my family, we were going through a very hard time when our son was very sick and finally he passed on, that 1 week after we buried him, this was on the 20th of January 2013, I had gone to church quite early that day, and somebody came who I discovered was a servant of God, who had been sent by God all the way from Katoloni Prayer Center. This is a man that I had never seen, and I never even saw him after that. I have never seen him again. And he came and brought me a message from God. And he told me that for some days he was being shown visions of me preaching and ministering to big congregations. And God gave him a message on what he had planned for me in Sukuma when we come and begin the church in Sukuma, and even what I would do in the ministry, not just in Sukuma, but even in the whole world. And after I received that message, we continued to mobilize resources, and on 15th of September of the same year, 2013, is when we came and began the church in Sukuma.
In the year 2024, a new chapter began. With great joy, we witnessed Bishop Paul Munyiri being appointed the Deputy Presiding Bishop, Pera, Kenya, a role that reflects his dedication, integrity, and the love he pours to every endeavor.
My viewer, I'm Okinda J.O. I serve as the Bishop of Pera Church in Kenya, currently serving in the office of the Presiding Bishop. I will be giving you a brief on someone that I really cherish and honor. And this is Bishop Paul Munyiri. What is it that attracted me to this man? One is the way that Paul has carried himself as a minister. This is a man who, as most of you know, is a church planter, is an evangelist. This is a man that does not expect to be given a church that someone has started, like most of the ministers who would begin by saying, give me a big church. To him, as the Lord speaks to him, and I know that from when he was at the city center church, and even when he decided to pioneer the Pera community church in Sukuma. And I saw someone with a burden, with a call, focus, vision, and somebody who is a go-getter. And I said, if this man, the Lord would give Pera at this particular moment, this will be the right man. So I had to approach him. He was so surprised when I told him that he's the man that the Lord is calling as the Deputy Presiding Bishop of Pera churches in Kenya. And so I'm approaching him, and he's not even sure if this is what he wants to do. But I told him, Bishop Paul, pray about it. Seek God if it is God's will. And later on, of course, he came back and told me, Bishop, if you want me to serve in this position and this is God's will, who am I to say no to God? And so the journey started. What a privilege to know that today, Bishop Paul Munyiri is my deputy. I'm really blessed and honored to serve with him. I look forward to a time, if this is God's will, that he will sit where I'm sitting. And I say, may the will of God be done in this. It is not me to tell people what to do, but I feel strongly that this is not the end of where God wants Bishop Paul Munyiri to be. And as he serves you, as he serves this nation, as he serves Pera Kenya, I believe that this will always come clear to you that this is the leader who does not serve himself or his household, but he serves the body of Christ without discrimination, without favor, and without fear. Bishop Paul Munyiri is a leader of the hour because he understands the dynamics of this time. By him coming, some of you may not know this, within few weeks when he came to the office, today the Lord has restored to him the leadership of developing the Pera house. Actually, he is my right-hand person in developing a multi-million project for Pera. And every time we've sat and talked with him, I have seen his desire not only to do the Pera house, but to do several magnificent projects for this organization. I pray that we will maximize the gifting and the talents that are bestowed upon him. He's a great family man. I've enjoyed fellowshipping with him and working with him, more so at this particular time that people are looking for direction. I can only say fairly that God has given Pera the right leader. And like all other right leaders, they need the right people who will be able to back them up, to support them, to encourage them, and to pray for them. From where I sit as his presiding bishop and the 7th presiding bishop of Pera churches in Kenya, I can only say, Bishop Paul Munyiri, I wish you the best. And I pray that God be with you. I pray that God make you become that very person that you've never been before. For whose glory? For the glory of God. May I finish by saying a few things. One, which I want to conclude with, is that as we serve together with him, you will understand that my desire is to leave him better than I found him. And that is my principle of leadership. If there is anything that I can do to make his dream and his vision and his efforts be realized, even in the shortest time possible, that's what I will do. And I want to agree with others who have said that we've gotten a servant leader in the name Paul Munyiri. May God bless you so much, all of you, even as we celebrate this man of God together with his dear wife and his family and his local church and Pera, Kenya at large. I'm honored to have you, Bishop Paul Munyiri, as my deputy in Kenya. God bless you.
Thank you, Bishop Paul Munyiri, for your unwavering faith, your compassionate leadership, and your heartfelt dedication to us all. As we celebrate your journey, we look forward to continue celebrating this path together, united in faith.